Hey guys, so I got a question about what happens if you underbid a contract. How do you handle that situation? So I think back on my business where I've done that a couple of times where I haven't been accurate in my bidding. Sometimes I bid way over and sometimes I bid way under. And so I want to talk about some different scenarios and then give you the different options on how you can handle it. I had this bike company. They're really big in the cycling world and they're, I guess, huge over in Europe. Well, they have an office in my city and they hired us just to do some sweeping and changing the garbage cans out, cleaning the bathrooms, very light, easy janitorial stuff. Well, they wanted us to come in 2 times a week and I didn't know how to bid this. It was when I very first got started out. And I told them it was $1,000 a month. And they took me up on it. They just had a whole bunch of money and they didn't really think about what we were doing. They're just like, okay, yeah, do it. Well, time went on and I was collecting this money and I thought that that was really cool. Eventually, they caught on to the fact that we weren't delivering $1,000 worth of value every month. Now, at the time, I didn't really care because it's like, well, we had a deal, we shook hands, you said you were gonna pay me the $1,000, I told you what I was gonna do and I did it, so that's an honest deal. But when it really came down to it and I was doing that work and they saw what we were doing and they realized that it only took an hour a visit and I was only there for 8 hours a month and they were paying me $1,000 a month to do the work, you know, they just terminated the contract. They just said, hey, we're gonna take this in-house, it's a little bit too expensive. We're just gonna have our own people clean up from now on. So I don't know if they ever hired a new janitorial company or not, but I lost that contract because I overbid it. So you wanna be careful of that. But let's say you underbid a contract. You got 3 options. The first one is, are you being taken advantage of? Obviously, that's something that you need to think about. I'm always very careful when I think other people are taking advantage of me. I want to be very sure and positive 100% that they are, because I don't want to accuse anybody or even have negative thoughts about anybody if they're not accurate. I could have enough negative thoughts about real shit going on. I don't need to make up weird little dramas in my own mind. So I want to, look at the relationship and think, am I actually being taken advantage of, like deliberately, or is this just a bad situation? If I'm being taken advantage of and they hired me knowing that they're going to be paying a lot less than what I was going to be doing, well then, I would just terminate the relationship. Just say, hey, you know what? It's been great working with you, but I'm too busy and we just have to cut you loose. I'm sorry. So that's one option. The second option is going to be doing the job anyway. Just, you shook hands, you made an agreement, and sometimes you don't win. And sometimes you just have to follow through on your word even though you're taking a loss. I know I did specifically a floor care job where I messed the job up and it cost me $600 out of my own pocket to fix the job. And I lost $600 just so that this person didn't feel like I completely screwed them over and just like ruin their floor. So I had to go out of they didn't pay me any money and I still had to pay $600 to fix this mistake. I'll talk about that later. I personally, me and my company, we did not make the mistake, but I was so new in business, I just felt so bad about having a mistake happen while I was on site that I just paid out of pocket to resolve the situation. So, sometimes you don't win, sometimes you're gonna take a loss, sometimes you make a commitment and you just have to follow through on it until it's done, especially if it's a short amount of time and it's not very difficult for you to do. Another reason you may want to keep the contract is because they might pay you on a regular basis all the time. I have one customer that doesn't pay very much, a lot less than they should be paying, but for the last several years, they pay me on the exact due date. As soon as I send the invoice, they're like, boom, charge our credit card, and it's just automatic. And so when I first got started, I needed that money to pay rent, buy food, pay employees, just so many different things over the years. I needed that money and I always knew, hey, I've got this money coming in, I'm gonna stick with this contract even though I'm making less than I'd like to. At least it's predictable and I need the revenue. So I kept it. And what happened is the relationship evolved over time and I started asking about other cleaning tasks. So I would do a lot of pressure washing or window washing or floor care or carpet cleaning, and I've been able to make up all those losses by doing more work. So that's an option, is just keep it and just suck it up and just say, it sucks, but I'm in business. And it's not, this is gonna sound really weird coming from a business person, but it's not all about money. A lot of it is about learning and self-development and growth. And if you have something to go do, that's better than just sitting at home doing nothing. And so, you could think about the times when you first got started and you didn't have any customers at all. Well, it's good to get out there in the field and practice and use your tools and learn how to take on more cleaning tasks and learn to work on a relationship with a customer. When you're first starting out, if you're not making as much money as you'd like to on one job, at least you get the experience of delivering service consistently and building a relationship. So anyways, you might disagree with that or not, I don't know. Obviously, you're not going to want to keep the relationship going if you're losing money. If it's costing you money, like if you have people out there doing the job and you're not making enough money to even cover their labor and you're paying money, well then obviously it's not sustainable. So that's not what I'm talking about in this video. Okay, so the third option is going to be to renegotiate. And I've done this. Okay, I thought of a specific example. This is a big design architecture firm, and they build a lot of breweries in the city. They're a huge, well-known builder. And when I first got the job, I thought it was going to be $400 a month. I started doing it, and the vacuuming was just taking forever. And I'm like, shit, this is actually like a $500 a month job that I'm doing here. And so I just called them up. And you want to make a phone call or do this in person. This is probably not, renegotiating a contract is probably not something you want to do over email just because it's not as personal. And I was just open and honest. I said, hey, you know what? When I walked through your office, I thought that these tasks were going to take this long, but in reality, after doing it for the last couple of months, it's actually taking this long. And I need to adjust the rate because it's not sustainable for me and my business to operate at such a low price. So I'm really sorry. This is totally my mistake. I feel really embarrassed. And I just kind of like am very apologetic, because when you do that, then they're going to have kind of sympathy and they're going to understand that you're not perfect. And so as long as you're just real and yourself and you're just like, hey, I hate to ask for more money. That's not what this is about, but I just kind of need it to keep this moving. A lot of people are going to be like, okay, don't worry about it. It's totally fine. A lot of people don't care how much they're paying. They just want to make sure that you're going to show up, that you're not going to steal their stuff, and that you're going to do a really good job, and that you're very reliable. They're not going to want to pay astronomical rates, but if you need to adjust it, 10 to 20% even, I don't think people are going to really get mad or even cancel the contract. In fact, if you're open and honest and you adjust the pay for something that makes it worth it for you to do it, it will build the relationship. Like, people know that you have to make enough money for you to even come in and to be reliable. So as long as you're open and honest, it can actually be something that is really helpful for the relationship. The last point I want to touch on is kind of like a part two, not really even a point, but a whole other thing to look at. I think from the research that I've done, a good going rate, a good average going rate for the janitorial business, just for nightly janitorial, not deep cleans, carpet cleaning, window, nothing like that, just regular nightly janitorial, it's about $30 an hour. And so if you can average like $30 an hour, you're probably going to be able to pay your employees, you're going to be able to buy all your supplies, you're going to take care of all of your stuff and have a little bit of profit left over. And so I think that's a good target to stick around. So what you can do is add up all of your customers on one column, add up how much they're paying you in one column, and then in the next column figure out how much time you're spending at each place. Then you divide the amount of dollars they're giving you by the amount of money, by the amount of time you're spending there, and figure out what your hourly rate is at each place. Now, some could be 35 or 40 or 50 an hour, and some might only be 16 an hour, but you figure out what your average is across your entire company. And if you're making $30 an hour on average across all of your customers, well then that's sustainable across your entire business. Now, if you have one that's a lot lower and that's bringing your average down, well, then you could just get rid of that customer or raise the rate, and then that will bring the entire average up for the rest of your company. So you could look at each specific customer and be like, oh crap, I underbid this job. Or you could say, hey, I underbid this one, but this one I'm making more, and so the total average is staying like right where I need it to be. So anyway, guys, hopefully that helps. Keep the questions coming, and I'll see if I can help you out more. So if you want to do what you want, if you want to do what you want, when you want, how you want, for who you want, how much you want, subscribe to my channel. We'll see you guys next time.